And oh, good. And there we are. You should be able to see the web page there. And just waiting for my prompt to go down. Right, as always, the results first. Group 1. I think a particularly good result there for Jean Niall and Jenny Pryke there with 60. The other group was Anna Melissa. Yep, good score. The other group was very close, really. No huge things there,
Yes.
but it's nice to see our group leader there coming back on the top end of North-South. Hello.
Chris, can I ask why Jean and I are there twice?
Yes. Do you remember you came
I know
in?
we were late, yeah.
Now, of course, the second half you played North-South because of the system.
We were the only ones that changed, were we? Right. Sorry, I thought everybody had changed.
No, sorry, it is a bit mysterious. So you've got your average for the first half on the right there, haven't you? Which was a nice round 50. And then the average for when you switched round to North and South was 45.
Right, okay.
I could have just put one long row with 47.5, but it's a more accurate way of doing it.
And it made us feel better as well.
Is that okay?
Yes.
I know I'm going to repeat myself, I know, but I really do think the standard is steadily going up in Group 1. I seem to get less and less questions, which is, I hope, a good thing. And of course, we're very much looking forward to our new cohort of beginners coming in, but that won't be till Easter, unless we get 1 or 2 from Ipswich. Now, the other group was, we don't get many ties because Keith was telling me the total score is 200 and odd points maximum. And that means you get 2 points for every pair you beat on each traveller, 1 for a tie. So to end up with exactly the same number of points. Now, Keith has, and usually Caroline, have been top for 8 weeks running, and joint top, I think, for the 9th. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. So very bad luck there to Naomi and Brian for not quite overtaking you. I have to say I was cheering them on a bit, but anyway, you did the scoring, so you don't know that. Okay, so good. Now we move back to bidding today, and bidding as opener, which we've done 1 session on. We're just concentrating on the first bid. Now, I like to think, having played for 12 years, that when I look at my cards for the opening bid, I don't just think of my first bid, I think of my first 2 bids. And I think many of you, if you're not already at that stage, you look at your hands. This is what I'm going to bid now. This is what I'll bid depending on what partner responds. And the 2 sort of go together. Okay. Now, there are an awful lot of combinations by the time you get to open the second bid. But fortunately, there are some sort of general guidelines you can go by. Now, before we start, I think if we're going to talk about openers' second bid, and a lot of you have said to me, I'm all right on first bids, there's a second round I find difficult. This is people in Group 1. We really do need to make sure we understand all the normal sort of responding bids. So this is probably a revision for most of you, but I just would like you, and if you answer and you get it right, we'll move on to another person so everybody gets their share. I'm going to show you a series of opening and responding bids, and I would like to know precisely what it means. So we'll start at the shallow end. Anybody can answer, but after that we'll try and do it in turns. So what precisely does that mean?
Responder's got more than 13 points and balanced.
Got 13 or more. Now that's an interesting point, Martin. Balanced, probably, But I must say sometimes if the long suits are minor, yeah, even if it's minor, I will prefer to go to no trumps rather than 5 diamonds or 5 clubs. So Martin says minimum 13. Anything we can add to that? Probably balanced, but it might contain a long minor.
No 4-card major.
Probably not a 4-card major. Now, I'm saying probably, I'm saying very probably, apart from Keith, does anybody know the exception? Now, the exception is
4-3-3-3.
Now, if you're not sure, if you've not come across that before, if you've got the dreaded flat hand, the 4-3-3-3, there is no shortage. So there is no advantage and no extra tricks generally gained by roughing. So, you know, you tend not to use Stayman with a 4-3-3-3. Anybody know the maximum? There is a limited number of points this bid shows, you know. It's not just 13 or more, because you might be interested in slam.
17.
Close, it's actually 18.
18.
When you get, assuming we're all playing 12 to 14 no trumps, okay? Once you get to 19, there's a possibility that you might have enough for slam, which is 33, isn't it? So in fact, it actually shows 13 to 18. Good. Probably no card major, just occasionally it'll be because there's a 4-3-3-3 with a 4 in the major. Good. This is supposed to be revision, but we'll see. Jonathan's just joining us while we think about that one. So you've opened 1 no trump. What are you expecting from responder with 2 no trumps?
11, 12.
11, 12, that's right. So we're in this grey area, aren't we, where we're not sure if we've got the full 25. So we invite by bidding 2 no trumps, that's right. And then the idea is, of course, partner goes back, we go back to 3 no trumps as opener if we're maximum. Little bit of advice on that particular bid. If you've got 11 points and say 4-3-3-3, don't bother. Because the great majority of the time you're not going to have 3 no trumps, or you're not going to have 25 points. And sometimes with a very good 12, perhaps you've got a 5-card suit. You know, by very good 5-card suit, 10s, 9s all over the place, you might go straight to 3 no trumps. Game invites are not very nice bids to really make, because you end up in the middle of no man's land sometimes and you wish you hadn't bothered. So these point ranges are only a guide, really.
Stayman.
Yes, partner is doing Stayman. I think everybody here plays Stayman, so that's good. One of the top conventions. How many points do you think partners got or responders got?
11.
Yes, most of the time there are certain hands where it can be less. I mean, 5-4 in the majors is one. You don't need any points for that. And if you've got something like 4 spades, 4 hearts, 5 diamonds, you can cater for any answer, but most of the time it will be. And that's Stayman, usually 11 or more high card points. We're just talking about the occasional weak Stayman you can use with 5-4 majors, and possibly one where you can pass any reply. Good.
No 4-card major.
Well, what is 2 diamonds?
Transfer.
No.
Transfer.
I'm assuming at this stage of the course that we all lose transfer. So that's a transfer to hearts. What, because two hearts will be a transfer to spades and two spades will be a transfer to clubs, only used with weak hands with 6-card minors. Now, this next one, what does that show us?
6 to 9 and 4 spades.
Absolutely, 6 to 9 and 4 spades. Now, I have to say there are certain hands where I would raise with 3 spades, because sometimes the alternative of bidding 1 no trump, rather than bidding 1 no trump, it's usually best to support with 3 cards. So usually it'll be 4, but occasionally it will be 3 rather than the dreaded dustbin bid. And of course, if you like the losing trick count, that is 9 losers. Remember, we only use the losing trick count if we know we've got a spade fit. So you wouldn't use the losing trick count with just 3 spades there. You'd have to have 4. Also, it's very definitely more suited to unbalanced hands. Okay. What's the most? Here's a question for you. What's the most losers you can have in a balanced hand?
Oh, yeah.
12.
12. Because the 4th card doesn't count as a loser. So the most losers you can have in a balanced hand is 12. Not that I particularly recommend using the losing trick count with balanced hands. It tends to slightly underestimate. What's the most losers you could have in an unbalanced hand?
Sorry, Chris, what was the
What's
question?
the most losers you could have in an unbalanced hand?
10.
Very good. Was that Martin?
No.
No, it was Roy.
Oh, you bet. Over the airwaves, you sound rather similar. Yes, it's 10, because you must either have 2 doubletons, or you could have a singleton and a 3 card. Very good answer. 10. Yeah. So in effect, actually, the worst number of losers, if you're using a losing trick count, is 10, because you don't really. Well, I don't recommend using them with balanced hands. And this one.
3 hearts. Oh,
10 to 13.
I think I'd say 10 to 12, Jill, actually, because
Right.
when you got 13, you know, you're taking partner for a minimum of 12, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think really with 13, you're reasonably confident you've got the requisite 25.
Yeah.
So we'd say 10 to 12, or if you're using the losing trick count, 8 losers there. And a double raise like that definitely shows 4 hearts. We've no need to compromise with that number of points.
I
Good.
have done
So
it on
far.
as few as 6, I think, Chris.
I beg your pardon?
I've done it on as few as 6. 6 points.
Points, yes. I suppose.
It's 8 losers that's the key thing there.
One singleton there.
Yes, and you know, it's pretty unbalanced. May even have a void, but
If you don't like the losing trick count, just add on 3 points for a singleton. If you know you've got an 8-card fit, just add on 3 points. Now, 3 points in bridge is almost exactly 1 trick. If you think about it, there are 40 points in the pack, 13 tricks. And I suppose for a void, you can add on 5 points, perhaps. And a way, a void's as good as an ace in that situation, isn't it? And
Yeah.
the singleton is as good as a king. Okay. And that one?
Yeah, lots of trumps, but no points.
16 points.
Wow.
Now, this answer may vary according to your state of bridge education. This course certainly was meant to be for Group 1, really. Now, can I ask you for the traditional meaning of 1 spade, 4 spades, rather than the one where you're using some other conventions?
Well,
Well,
I've
how many-
got I thought it was a weak hand, but long in
Yes.
spades.
It indeed can be, Martin, so long as you can use some other convention to describe a strong hand supporting spades, which we'll come to at the bottom of the screen in a minute. Now, when you first taught bridge, this simply means you've got 13 or more points and say 7 losers and definitely 4 or more spades. When you get into something like your third year of bridge, you'll learn something which we'll come into at the minute. But we'll just keep to the old-fashioned description. What about that one?
Four spades at least.
It guarantees 4, doesn't it? Maybe more, of course. What else does it promise?
6 plus points.
One heart could be 12 to 19. So we should have 6 or more there, but it could be a lot more. It's an unlimited bid.
Oh,
And also, of course, it implies less than 4 hearts because you would have raised hearts. Once you found a major fit, you would raise it. Okay. One spade, 2 diamonds. What does the 2 diamonds mean?
10 or more points.
Indeed, it is 10. You can adjust that with something called the rule of 14, but let's keep traditional here and say 10 or more. By the way, in the USA, I believe that promises 13 or more points. It's forcing to gain, but we'll stick to our British system. 10 or more points. How many diamonds?
4
Minimum.
Yes,
minimum.
it only
Five.
promises 4. I mean, a lot of people think that the 2 bid promises 5. It doesn't necessarily. There are certain hands where it can only be 4. And of course, it is 10 points because we've gone up a level. And it would certainly be less than 4 spades because you would have supported the spades otherwise. Okay.
hmm.
6 to 9, no support in hearts.
Yep.
2
The
or less.
It's the dustbin, isn't it? It's showing
Dustbin
6 to 9 points. Many people think it shows a balanced hand. It doesn't. It's just a bid showing 6 to 9 points, nothing to do with the shape of the hand. Obviously, we won't have 4 hearts. We probably wouldn't even have 3 actually, because it's usually better to raise to 2 hearts with 3. There's something else. There's something else.
4 spades.
Not 4 spades. Otherwise, the spades would have been bid. Absolutely good. I'm hoping this is all revision. Raise of a minor to the 2 level.
Gus.
6 to 9.
Indeed, 6 to 9. It says something else though. I mean, clearly it's going to promise at least 4 clubs.
No majors.
Yeah.
No 4 card
This very
majors.
important thing, which we do see some of you doing from time to time, don't support the minor if you've got a 4 card major. Good. And this one.
No, it's the same.
Same general idea. So this will be
10 plus.
10 points.
10. What's the maximum?
10 to 13.
It's the same as 1 heart, 3 hearts.
Hmm.
So it's 10 to 12. We're about 8 losers. And again, no 4 card major. Now, it's a very long time since I've talked about this, but there's an awful lot to be said for reversing those 2 last bids.
Playing inverted minors.
Inverted minors. Do you know the reason for that? Why it's an advantage?
You can get into 3 no trumps.
Yes. What what you don't like is bids like 1 club, 4 club, 1 diamond, 4 diamond, because you bypass 3 no trumps. So if you can experiment with this, but your partner has to know that 1 club, 2 club would actually be 10 to 12, or sorry, 1 club, 2 club will be 10 or more, and 1 diamond, 3 diamond would be 6 to 9. But that's not a beginner's convention. Do you use it with somebody like Caroline, Keith? Inverted
Caroline
commas?
and John.
Good to hear that. You find it useful?
Yes. Describes the hand.
And it's definitely easy to get into minor suit slams, isn't it? Anyway, we're getting a bit advanced now. And that, of course, means our old friend Blackwood, either the simple version asking for aces, or the medium version counting the king of trumps as an ace, or the sophisticated version called Roman key card Blackwood, which takes into account the queen of trumps. Good. In fact, it's not generally a good idea to bid 4 no trumps as responder. It tends to work out better if the opening hand bids that. But now 2 for our experts, if you can see them. 1 heart, 2 no trumps. Now I emphasize this is not a bid for group 1.
Jacobi 2 no trumps. It's showing opening value and a balanced hand, but 4 card support.
Yeah, that actually, to be absolutely fussy, no voids or singleton. It might be a couple of doubletons actually. And finally, can you see the bottom of the screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can.
No prompt in the way. And there's another bid of that kind of strength called the splinter bid.
I hope
Now-
that says void or singleton club,
Yes. Yeah.
Chris, rather than a singleton diamond.
And at some point, quite well into the future, we'll be revisiting those bids, but don't worry at all if you've not come across them. And so we move on. Now, we were saying earlier that by the time you get to openers second bid, there are quite a few different combinations, which you certainly don't have to memorize. Fortunately, there are certain guidelines that you can follow. Now, to illustrate this, I've classified opening bids at the 1 level into 3 different strengths. So we've got our weak version at 12 to 14, our intermediate version at 15 to 17, and then our top of the range version at 18 to 19. On the other side of the table, I've got the equivalent in losers, but I'll just repeat that you don't use the losing trick count, certainly unless you've got an 8 card fit, and preferably with unbalanced hands. So there's just 6 sort of different ideas, really. Now, what I'm thinking of 2 bids. Now, in each of these 6 boxes, there's going to be 3 or 4 possibilities, because we're not just thinking of our first bid, we're thinking of what we might do depending on what our partner bids. So if we'll ask Keith to hold back a little bit for now, what about let's take this one here, 12 to 14 balance. What can you say about that? Looking at this one here.
1 no trump.
Well, clearly it's a 1 no trump opener. What are the possibilities of your next bid, though? What might happen and what might you have to do?
Might get a Stamen.
Yes, and so we reply to Stamen, absolutely, and we all know the replies to them.
Transfer.
Yeah, that's an order, isn't it? A transfer. You've just got to do it. There's no choice. Well done. There's one more possibility. I mean, a lot of the time you pass, of course, but there is one more possibility.
Raising no trumps.
Yes, raising no trumps. So let's put those on the screen. Okay. So that more or less what people said. There's this question of 2 no trump invitation, which we've seen already this evening. And remember this 4 no trumps, this is not Blackwood. This is what we call a quantitative raise, and it's saying bid 6 no trumps if you're maximum. Now, I think most of you know all of those except possibly 1 no trump, 4 no trump. You bid 4 no trump if you've got 19 to 20 and you're not quite sure if the 33 are there. If you've got 21, you'd know the 6 no trumps is there and you just simply bid it. Now, there are other bids such as 5 no trumps and 7 no trumps, but I have never yet picked up a hand that fits that. They're extremely rare. So that's reasonably straightforward then. What you do with a 12 to 4 is where all our bidding starts. I guess it's the first bid you ever learned, whether I started you off with or somebody else. It usually is. Now, let's go up a level to what Jen, I believe Chris Green is doing next Monday at Ipswich. He's dealing with these stronger balanced hands. What do you do if you've got 15 to 17 and a balanced hand?
One of a suit if you've got 4.
Indeed, you start with 1 of a suit, and what do you do after that?
You might
Read
bid
it.
no trumps to show your points.
2 no.
Tom.
Yeah.
Yes, most of the time, that's right. You 15 to 17, you will bid no trumps at the lowest level.
Right.
So if you open 1 heart, partner bids 1 spade, your 1 no trump would show 15 to 17. On the other hand, if you open 1 spade and partner bid 2 clubs, your 2 no trumps would still show at least 15 points because it would be the lowest level. So the majority of the time with that stronger balanced hand, our second bid, we're planning to bid no trumps. Is there any time when we wouldn't bid no trumps? Because most of the books say, right, if you've got 15 to 17 balance, open a suit and the next bid is 1 no trump or 2 no trumps if that's the lowest you can go. Is there anything would take priority over that?
A jump bid in that suit by your partner.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it depends on, we're getting slightly warm, as they say in party games. It depends on the suit.
Yeah.
Major card 5th, major suit 5th.
Yes, always top of the tree, isn't it? This major card fit. So most of the time, you'll be bidding no trumps at the lowest level. We start with a suit, of course, and then most of the time you'll be bidding 2 no trumps at the lowest level. The only exception is when partner bids a major after your bid, and then you raise it. I wouldn't go up to the 3 level though with less than 17 points. I think if you're going to try and invite game, I think you need to be sort of within 2 points of it ideally. Because as I said earlier, I'm not very keen on invites. I certainly wouldn't invite with 15. Because if partners bid at the 1 level, they may only have 6 points. Now, I'll just leave that on the screen for half a minute, just in case there's anybody not quite clear. That one there, where it says raise partners 2 heart, 2 spades to game. When the responder bids at the 2 level, they're showing at least 10 points, aren't they?
Yeah.
So if you've got 15, you know the 25 are there. That's what that one means. Okay,
All right.
got it?
Yeah.
And the top of the range balanced, what do you do there? What's the general idea if you've got a really strong balanced hand?
Yeah.
Well, most of the time you should be bidding game of some sort. Absolutely. You'll start with a suit at the 1 level. most of the time you'll be bidding 2 no trumps actually. And the reason some of you will say, why not 3 no trumps? Well, in modern bidding with that kind of hand, it gives your partner space to show a 3-card major suit. Perhaps all this will be a bit clearer when we come to the quiz in a minute. Okay.
Well, okay.
Now, once you've got 19, of course, you're you know that you're at the game level. So most of the time this is leading to game. Now it gets a bit more tricky when you've got an unbalanced hand of 12 to 14. So I'm going to just put this on the screen straight away to save time. There are 3 possibilities basically. Either you raise your partner's suit by 1 level if you've got a fit, which you're at the minimum end, aren't you? So if it went 1 heart, 1 spade, you go up to 2 spades. We're talking about opener here, of course.
Yeah.
Next in priority is bidding this second suit. Do we all know what this term, the barrier, means?
No.
Right. Let us suppose, for example, that you open 1 heart. Yes.
Mhm.
The barrier is 2 hearts. And what that means is that your second bidder's opener shouldn't be above that level unless you've got 16 or more points. So if you're in the 12 to 14 range, you won't be bidding a bid above the 2 level of your opening suit. Okay.
Sorry,
I
I
mean,
just can't hear you.
Am I too far away? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes, I
good,
can
yes.
now.
I was just sorry if you missed that last bit. I was just explaining about this very important idea of the barrier, where if you open, say, 1 heart, don't bid above 2 hearts unless you've got at least 16 points. Now, generally speaking, in bidding, it's nice to mention a second suit rather than harping on about your first suit. But you can't do that really, and certainly not in the 12 to 14 range.
No.
There is actually something to be said for making the barrier 15, by the way, because it does rather fit neatly in with this chart. So it's possible you can be a little bit too strict about this barrier. And as always in this kind of bidding, repeating your suit is the last option. Now, I often get asked when somebody repeats their suit, how many cards are they showing? Well, the answer as opener is ideally 6, but sometimes because of you've got a hand in this range, it has to be 5. You don't like repeating a 5-card suit, but sometimes if there's not much bidding space, you're forced into it. On the other hand, by the way, if you're a responder, don't repeat a suit unless you've got 6 cards, whatever. And so we go on up. The idea is basically the same in the next 2 sections, except you go up a level. Now, if you've got 15 to 17, most of the time you're quite happy to bid a second suit, even if it's above the barrier. You might say 15's a bit weak, but personally, I think I would reduce the barrier to 15 if I reinvented bridge. Have I told you, by the way, if I reinvented bridge, what I would have as an opening for 1 no trump?
No.
I thought this for a long time. Well, I would have 11 to 13. Now, I wonder if there's anybody here brave enough to do that and experiment for me. You see, I think, when you start, the first thing you learn in bridge, open the bidding if you've got more than your share of the points. Your share of the points is 10. Your fair share of the points is 10, I'm sorry. So it seems a bit arbitrary to me. Why should you need 12? 11's better than average, isn't it? Now, I know some of you will find this a bit scary.
Chris, I picked up a hand on yesterday, and I had a quandary. I had 11 points and was sat in the pass out seat.
Yes, you can there. Yeah.
Well, I got 4 spades, 3, 3, 3, and I was thinking, do I throw it in if
Technically,
if I get
no.
3 passes?
Technically, yeah.
Do I bid 1 spade or do I bid 1 no trump? And I come to the conclusion I was going to bid 1 no trump on that hand,
Yes.
on the principle of a borrowed king.
No, you only do that if somebody else has bid first. This is the pass out seat. In the first bridge book I ever read, it said 12 to 14, but it said in the pass out seat. I mean, this is after 3 passes in the first round, 11 to 14. Because if you've got 11 points, you have probably just about got the majority of points. But that's a fine line. The other thing about 11 to 13, it will come up more often. And I just think 1 no trump is such a useful bid with all these, once you know Stayman and transfers. And I wonder, I will put that to you if anybody's going to be really brave. What you've got to do, remember though, that do tell your partner you're playing 11 to 13. Because their 2 no trump invites should go up. Everything has to go up a point. But it would have the great advantage of coming up more often. Now, some of the younger bridge players now play 10 to 12. And, well, you could try it. You don't have to stick to our system. Feel free to try something else. Anyway, the standard is 12 to 14. I digress. And finally, the other range, which really just takes us up a level, just a couple of points. When you rebid your suit at the 3 level, that's showing 16 or more in a 6-card suit. I think you all know that, do you?
Yeah.
Jump repeats. And when you bid a new suit at the 3 level, that should be really 19, maybe 18, 19 points. Because a new suit at the 3 level is forcing to game. That's not 16, please. That's 19 or possibly 18. Okay. So before we start the quiz, which was a sort of quiz, well, let's move straight on to it, because I sometimes think that actual hands make it seem clearer. Now, what you can do with this thing is either do it randomly, which will come up with any hand between 12 and 19 points, clever computer. But I think we'll work through it in order. So let's start with what would have been the top left square on the previous screen. What's your first bid?
1 no trump.
We're more relaxed now, aren't we? And what will your second bid be?
It depends on what your partner says.
All of these questions are going to depend on. This is not quite a quiz on exact second bids. It's a quiz on thinking about possibilities when you first pick up the hand. So supposing your partner bid 2 no trumps.
Pass.
Yes, it's a bear 12, isn't it? Supposing your partner bid 2 clubs.
2 diamonds.
Diamonds.
Supposing your partner bid 2 hearts.
2 spades.
You don't like it very much with that doubleton, but you've got to do it because part of them, might even have 6. So there we are. That summarizes that up. So what we're doing then tonight really is not so much, this will be for a future lesson going into a bit more detail about exact second bids, but just to get you into the idea of not just thinking about that first bid and then boring everybody to death for a minute and a half while you think about your second bid. It's thinking about both at the same time. And of course, if you click this, right, what about that one?
One no trump.
11.
Of course, still, it's always going to be that with blue and white on the screen.
Like it was 3.
It's still a minimum, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
That is
So that one's quite straightforward. Let's see if we can get a slightly more interesting one. How about that?
One no trump.
Yeah, they're all going to be one no trump in that range, so you might as well just leave that on the screen. what might happen here?
Well, Stamen, you bid 2 spades.
And of course, anything else just depends on partner. Now, again, we've picked up 12 for the 3rd time running. And this illustrates a point, you know, when you think somebody's hand is, say, 12 to 14, what's it most likely to be?
12.
12. When you think somebody's hand's 20 to 22, what's it most likely to be?
20.
In other words, that's right, Sheila. It's the bit nearest the average. In fact, in the really high point ranges like that, 20 points is more common than 21 and 22 put together. So if your partner opens 2 no trump, generally assume they do have 20 points. It's less the case with 1 no trump. Let's see if I can get... I keep getting 12s, don't I?
You do.
Yeah. All right.
That's better.
Oh, it's a bit better.
Bit better, but I don't think that's good enough to raise to 3 no trumps, is it? Right.
13.
Oh, come on. Right, now how about this one?
30.
First bid, of course, 1 no trump.
2, 4, 7, 12.
Do you know, I think if partner bid 2 no trump,
I think I'd pass.
Yeah.
I think I'd bid 3 no trump.
I don't know what the person's bid.
Well, it's very, very close, isn't it? I mean, have you noticed?
It's the wasted jack.
I suppose it is a bit, isn't it? Yeah. If that 9 of diamonds was a 10 or a jack, that would be nice, wouldn't it? I think the point I'm making, though, have you noticed in no trumps how nice it is to have a 5-card suit? Something you can get your teeth into. So I think you will come across the odd 13s. Perhaps this one isn't quite good enough, really. But let's say those clubs weren't wasted, and let's make the 9 of diamonds into the 10 of diamonds. So, you know, you don't necessarily have to have 14. But, you know, look around the table. Who are you playing against? And don't make the mistake I did, where this very charming, quite elderly lady, I thought, will never double me. So I made a wild bid. And she very politely produced her double card with a little apology, and I went 3 down. So, you know, yeah. Look around the table if you know your opponents is probably better advice, isn't it? Okay. Let's move up. We'll keep to balanced, and let's move up a range now.
Chris, on the previous one, what was the second bid?
The response.
Well, it was originally
2 diamonds.
what I said was if partner Peter, if partner bid 2 no trumps, that hand, sorry, I can't go back because it's random, that hand had 13 points. And I was painting the scenario. I opened 1 no trump, partner bids 2 no trumps. Would I ever accept the invitation with less than 14? And I was saying with 13, maybe good 5-card suit with 10s and 9s here or there. So that was, is that okay? Sorry, I went.
Yes,
thank you. The other alternatives were Stamen, which would have been 2 diamonds, because I don't think it was a 4-card major, was there? And of course, transfers, you have no choice. So what's going to happen here, do you think?
1 heart.
Oh, that's very good. Was that Roy?
Yes.
He's, you know, most people say to themselves, Oh, bid your longest suit. Right. Both suits equal, bid your higher ranking. But the computer's come up, just to be awkward, with a single case of 4 hearts and 4 spades. Let's hope it does know that. Yes, it does. Yes. Why'd you bid 1 heart when you got 4 hearts and 4 spades, by the way?
Give
To
your
leave the
partner a
space to
chance
go to
bid the
spades.
spades.
Easier to find a spade fit that way. So that's the one. I mean, the beauty of bridge, of course, is these exceptions, isn't it? And that goes on forever, by the way, these exceptions. So that's the one exception with a balanced hand of not bidding the higher ranking of equal suits. Now, certain different things can happen here. So we might have to go through 3 or 4 scenarios here. We are going to open 1 heart. Now, what I would like you to do is pick up one possibility for your partner's bid and how you'd respond to it. And you can see there are 3 or 4 possibilities, aren't there? But we have bid 1 heart.
Partner bids 1 spade, you then do
Thank you,
2
Roy.
spades, 3 spades.
Yes, very good. If let's take 1 spade, which was the point of bidding hearts here. I think that's 3 spades myself. How many losers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4,
9.
5.
So 7, sorry, 7.
7.
Phew.
Yeah, exactly. I'd only go 2.
14.
I-
Oh,
7
7 is all right.
17.
You-
Oh, I think we if partner goes 1 spade, we should be inviting game.
Yeah,
Now this is where the losing trick count comes unstuck with some of these balanced hands. Let's hope the computer agrees, because I found it quite a fiddle getting these right. So apologies if there's a mistake. Oh, it doesn't even consider the possibility.
what?
Should say that's not very good. I'm afraid I had to have my tea before I could completely finish all these bits. So if you're trying these at home, I will try and. All right. Let's go back to Roy's scenario, which the computer. See, I can blame the computer, but who wrote the program? Yes, exactly. It's a great excuse, isn't it? But if and it doesn't say, unfortunately, on that white square, I think if partner now bid 1 spade, I think we should be bidding 3 spades. Partner's got at least 6, yes?
Yeah.
Let's just repeat it, because I'm sorry it's not appeared as a possibility here. The program isn't as clever as you, Roy, I'm afraid. So 1 spade, 6, we've got 17. What's our minimum point count between us? 23.
23.
Now, if you're not sure, we've said for the 3rd time tonight, I don't particularly like invitational bids, because if partner refuses, you wish you'd never invited them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. But if you are
When you
within
go
a
1
point,
down, you wish you'd never been invited.
but there's got to be a limit, and I think here it is with 17, and then partner, if they've got 8 or more.
25.
Yeah. But it is a good illustration here, you know, because the losing trick count would suggest just 2 spades. So the scenario there was that partner had responded 1 spade, and I hope we all agree that 2 spades is not strong enough. It's 3 spades, despite the fact it has 7 losers. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of aces there, which, I mean, you know, it's funny, the losing trick count, isn't it? Because aces and queens can almost count as the same card, and they're not.
Yeah.
I know you can adjust the losing trick count. What if partner bid 2 hearts?
3 hearts.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brandon. It's the same principle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if partners bid 2 hearts, they're showing 6 to 9. Here we've got 17. So we're, you know, 1 heart, 2 heart, 3 heart, 4 heart is a funny method of bidding, but and there are more sophisticated ways. And I once showed this group what you can do instead, but you didn't like it. So we'll go 1 heart, 2 heart, 3 heart. And then with partner with 8 or more, again, we'll go 4 hearts.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will be bidding 1 no trump at the lowest level. Oh, we won't here, will we? No, we won't.
I wouldn't.
If it went 1 heart, 2 clubs, what would you bid then?
2 no trump.
2 no trumps.
That's quite enough. Because there's no need to go straight to 3 no trumps. It just gives part. That's forcing to game. You know that, don't you? 1 spade. Sorry, 1 heart here. 2 clubs. And then I go 2 no trumps. Now, partner's got at least 10. I've got at least 15. So after a 2-level change of suit response, 2 no trumps is forcing to game. Now, the reason for that is that in modern bidding, you do open 1 no trump with 5-card majors. I know some people don't like that of the old school. And to compensate for that, don't necessarily feel tempted to bid 3 no trumps just because you've got 25 points. As long as you remember that 1 heart, say 2 clubs, 2 no trumps shows 15 to 19. Actually, it happens to be 17 here. You happy with that? Let's just try 1 more in that range.
That's the trouble.
1 spade. 1 spade.
Yeah, I had, you know, just before I moved to Suffolk, I had quite a set to with an experienced bridge player who said you should bid 1 club here. And that was the old teaching. And it's wrong.
Yeah.
And why is it wrong?
Never deny a 4-card major.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a bit more subtle than that, actually.
Can't hear you, Chris.
A bit more subtle than that. My voice was too subtle then. That's why you couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
Well, the reason is this. If you open 1 club here and then partner responded, which is quite likely 1 diamond, you then bid 1 spade to show your second suit. Now you've just promised 5 clubs and 4 spades. And you haven't got them, have you?
Yeah.
So you still need to bid spades there. So if you read any old books that say bid the lower of 2 4-card suits, it is wrong, I'm afraid. Bid 1 spade, the major taking priority. So if, shall we say, yeah, it agrees with me, thank goodness. If now partner bid, let's say, if partner bid 2 spades, what would you now bid?
3 spades.
3 spades.
Spades.
4 spades.
I wouldn't go as far as 4.
You have to repeat the question.
You got 15 points.
We are going to bid 1 spade, and we're saying, what if partner now bid 2 spades?
So you've got a
I
four.
think 3 spades.
Yeah,
No.
I wouldn't go
1
higher.
up, shut up.
No, putting it crudely, but it's right.
Yeah, I wouldn't pass.
You know, partner's got 6 to 9.
Mm.
We've got,
15.
15.
can we have 25?
No.
So, you know, there is absolutely no point inviting game.
And he's only promising 3 spades.
And also, he's only promising 3 spades. Somebody mentioned the bid of going back to no trumps, which is a reasonable one, but I would only do that with 4-3-3-3 hands, and I'd want 17 points anyway. So we're coming back to the principle once again that if you're going to invite game in no trumps, or indeed here's spades, whatever, you need to be no more than 2 points short. So I think, you know, this phrase 1-2 that will do is actually rubbish, but it is right a lot of the time. And there's no point in inviting game if you can't possibly, you need 17 points to invite game here.
Okay, not 15.
Yeah, I know. What would you do if partner bid 2 hearts?
Up to 3. Pass.
I would bid 3 at least. Hang on, let me just have a look. 1, 2, 3.
Let's
I
repeat
would,
the
I would
question.
bid 3 hearts.
It's so easy to forget. There are more people going to be listening to this broadcast. Well, perhaps I'll lose all our viewers after this week.
Chris,
I want to repeat the question. We have opened 1 spade, and I hope we've agreed it is 1 spade and not 1 club. And partner has responded 2 hearts. What's our next bid? Not Keith, if you don't mind, Keith.
Yeah,
Oh, well, 3 hearts. It's
I said
better.
5. It must be 3 hearts.
1 spade, 2 hearts.
3 hearts.
4 hearts.
Ah, who was that? Sheila. Was that you,
Yeah.
Sheila?
Yes, yeah.
Could you explain to our lovely audience why it's 4 hearts? And I agree
Well,
with you.
your partner must have 10 points to go to the 2 level, and you've got 15. So you've got 25 or more.
One little other
So
piece
you
of the
could be in a
jigsaw,
game.
isn't there? There's one little other piece of the jigsaw with 2 hearts, isn't there?
They've got to have 5 and
Exactly. And
10
in case
points.
there's anybody here who doesn't know this, that 1 spade, 2 hearts, when you bid a new suit at the 2 level, new major suit, that promises 5. So that's right. I don't know if the computer will pick it up. No, it's it's not pick that up. It's not very clever. Sorry, it didn't have time to do that properly.
Chris,
Yeah.
Chris,
going
yes.
back to no trumps, doesn't that show you've got 15 points or more, 15 to 17 points?
Yes. If you right, what you can do here, of course, if it's ones now, I haven't quite completed the picture, have I? That's right. 1 spade here to start with, yes. And
Yeah.
then after 2 diamonds, you then bid 2 no trumps. That's another scenario, isn't it?
But once they respond with a major, you stick to the major.
Now, can you see at the bottom left of this screen here? This is when I first saw this quite simple chart. Opener's second bid started making sense to me. And at the top of the tree, you raise the major. Then second in the hierarchy is no trumps. And after that, raising the minor suit. The one that happens the most often, you have to bid a second suit or rebidding your first suit. And of course, that's always the last priority. So I'm glad you mentioned that if you're not actually supporting a major, see, in our first 2 examples, I was talking about spades and hearts, wasn't I? But if partner now bid 2 diamonds, what's your second priority? Bid no trumps if balanced. And so you bid 2 no trumps. Now, partner should know that's forcing to game, because with 10 and you're 15, that's going to be game. Okay. The same would happen if it was 1 spade, 2 clubs, by the way. You'd still do the same because your priority would be to bid no trumps. Okay.
Hmm.
Next time we visit this, we'll be actually doing specific hands and being a little bit less vague. So let's finish tonight with the very strongest variety and see what we have. We've only done balanced hands, so that's quite enough for tonight. And this is the strongest layer, isn't it? First bid, second bid.
1 diamond.
1 diamond, indeed. No difficulty there. It's not quite 2 no trumps, is it?
3.
18 points.
I'll give you 3 no trumps.
Here's a case where if partner bid one, well, whatever partner bid really, if partner bid one heart, I was going to say 3 no trumps and agree with the gentleman who said it, but there's something about this hand which suggests 2 no trumps to me.
Flat.
Flat, isn't it? Mentally knock a point off that. If partner bid one heart, for example, then they could have 6 points. You've got a flat 18, and I think really, 2 no trumps is enough. Possibly even 1 no trump. No, it's a bit too strong for that, isn't it? Okay. But really, most of the time you're going to be heading for 3 no trumps with that kind of flat hand. Let's try another one. Right, that's a little bit more interesting.
1, 2, 6.
19 there.
So your first bid is going to be
Oh,
One heart.
high ranking. It is most of the time, of course.
1 heart.
Yeah. So try and spell it out for you a little bit in terms of scenarios. What would you do if partner now bid 2 hearts?
4 hearts.
4 hearts, yeah.
So this is a genuine 19, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
4, 6, 10, 13, 14, 18, 19. It's not a flat hand. There is an advantage in playing trumps, and the advantage, of course, is this doubleton. An average length suit with 3 cards, you usually get an extra trick by ruffing. So I think
Chris,
that's, yeah.
it's on there. I always put the caveat in that my partner could have 6 points and have 3 hearts.
Would you bid 3 no trumps here?
Initially, possibly I would.
Yeah, I think that's right, really, isn't it? Because so long as your partner knows what you're doing, of course, and this is where it is, it's an advantage, isn't it, to play with a regular partner? Yeah, so 1 heart, 2 hearts, 3 no trumps. Yeah, that's right. It's so, in other words, partner should go on if they've got the 4 hearts, basically. So you'd force the game with that hand, yeah? But you might bid 3 no trumps just in case partner's only got the 3 hearts. Yep.
Yeah.
What if partner says 1 spade? Do you respond to that?
Good question, and it's the next logical thing to come up, isn't it? So we've got 1 heart followed by 1 spade here. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, go to 4 spades.
2 no trumps.
Good,
That's
aren't
right. Well done, Roy, or
Yeah.
was it Roy?
Yeah, I said 2 no trump.
I'm sorry, yes. Actually, what I should know, because you sort of go to the top of the class if you make the right answer, by the way, on the screen. Well, actually, you go to the top of the class, you should shout in a long voice the wrong answer as well. It's not clever enough to detect correct bridge answers. And you're right, Roy, because I really do think you should be jumping here with 18 or 19, but certainly with 19 points. Okay. What about 1 heart followed by 2 diamonds?
Your partner's done 2 diamonds. I'd go 3 diamonds.
You've got 10 levels, so you've got
Put
Three no
scenario
trumps.
forward, 1 heart followed by 2 diamonds. I like the idea of no trumps,
3 no trump.
because if we got a minor fit, that's great. But I think 2 no trumps is, yeah. Actually, what are we messing about? It should be 3. You're right, Sheila. I think you're right,
Yeah.
because
The
the
raised
only
partner's minor.
no, I don't. I think it's. I really do think no trumps here. We're just in case you're a bit lost. We open 1 heart and we've imagined that our partners bid 1 spade. Okay. So I beg your pardon, 2 diamonds. Say that again. We open 1 heart and we imagine that partners then bid 2 diamonds. Now, one thing sure, we know we've got the 25 points or more. Yeah. Absolutely sure. But, you know, all right, we've got an 8-card diamond fit. But minor suit games, you have to bid 2 tricks more, don't you? So even with a diamond fit there, I think I would go 2 no trumps. Actually, the only point in bidding 2 no trumps is to let partner show 3 hearts, and we haven't got them. So who was it who said 3 no trumps?
Me.
Tonight's
Sheila.
star prize. I was going to go on to all the unbalanced combinations, but I think that we'll stop sharing and stop recording. And thank you. There we are. Stop recording. So you can all be on your worst behaviour now. Oh, this hasn't stopped recording.